Good evening, folks. I said I'll pop on tonight and have a chat with you since we've clinched the title. Things can start feeling more relaxed now. It's been what a weekend it has been. As a Celtic fan, I hope you are all doing good. I hope the hangovers isn't that bad. I hope you are still having the butterflies, having the emotion roller coaster. It was just what a day yesterday. What a day. Another title sealed. 17 points cleared as well, and a cup final to look forward to. What a season. What an absolute season. Fair play to a lot of the fans that went up yesterday to Tannadice. Unbelievable support. So instead of pop on, do a podcast for about half an hour, and we'll take this week as it comes. And, we have a Glasgow derby to look forward to next Sunday. Will there be a guard of honour? Probably not. But look, we'll celebrate the league in our own style in front of our fans, which is the most important thing. Get the comments in. To 11 you're tuning in tonight, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Once again, just been a busy time at the moment. So once things settle down a little bit, more content will go up. I'm still kicking around. I know a few of you say, "Oh, it's good to see you" and all that stuff, but I will be back soon, properly back to doing what I do best. So, how's it going, Tommy? How's it going, Tam? How's it going, Tommy? Again, 2 Tommies in tonight. We're champions. And look, at the first 20 minutes of the game, Dundee had a lot of possession, a couple of shots in there, but obviously the own goal went in. It was horrific that Jota got that injury. Hopefully he'll be back soon. Hope he's not too long. Hopefully we'll have Casper in goal soon as well. Okay, Sansaro's been outstanding. We have to give him the praise. The understudy has been absolutely brilliant in goal for Celtic. I think he has four clean sheets now. So he's been brilliant. And you know what? Any news on Jota? Like what I read yesterday was that bruising, bit of bruising. So we'll see what happens. I'm not going to read other sources and say this is how long it's going to be. Yeah, our best bet is they'll probably do an interview during the week, Celtic TV, with Brendan Rodgers, and they'll probably give an update during the week about Jota's injury. But Adamida came on as a sub and he played really well. And I've said this a couple of times on the channel. He's still very hot and cold, Adamida. Will he be stronger next season? 17 goals this season. He did go through that drought of 15 games. It could be completely different, but you know what? It's his first proper season preparing to move to Celtic, and the stakes are quite high. And hopefully next season he'll kick on. But it's been about Daisy Moyeda. Daisy Moyeda has been the player of the season. I thought Nicholas Kuhn, a guy that dipped form over the last 4 or 5 weeks. He was outstanding yesterday. 2 lovely finishes. Never in doubt. Never in doubt. After that 20 minutes, after that first goal, you knew it was going to. But the thing about Celtic is, yes, we did score 2 goals in the second half. It's like a lot this season. We take the foot off the pedal in the second half. We drop down a couple of gears. And I don't know if you agree with me in the comments below. We're still winning games, still winning by 4 or 5 goals, but pump it, piling on the agony. So, how are we feeling about next week? And Brendan Rodgers came out and said to Sky Sports yesterday that his plans to fulfill his contract at Celtic, and he's going to be here 200% next season, which is only around the corner. And will he get the funding? Hopefully. Will we get into the Champions League? Be successful in the playoff qualification? Hopefully. There's a lot of football to play before the end of the season. It's not. It's we can't drop off now. Can't drop off. There was a part of me, I'm not going to lie, on the podcast, I've said this and I came out and said this, a part of me actually wanted to go and win at Ibrox for the last 3 or 4 weeks, but the job's done now. And I know I sound crazy. I did want to win at Ibrox. I wanted to be confirmed champions at Ibrox, but we can go there now and have a celebration and give it to the boys. Give it to the boys. We just can't drop off now. Can't give them time, because what's going to happen is, if they were to beat us, they'd be screaming, "Barry the job, Barry this and Barry that." Who gives a shit about Barry? It's about Brendan, and we'll go to Ibrox and we win with the win there, win every single game. Would I make a couple of changes? Bring in a few of the youngsters, not for this game just yet. And no disrespect to the opposition, like other teams like St. Mirren, Hibs, teams like that. We still have to play Aberdeen and stuff like that. We'll see how it goes. But I I was watching a podcast the other day, and you know what? I agree with one or two people that have done these podcasts over the last few weeks. There hasn't been much of a hype to hype yourself up for Celtic games the way you usually do. I just think because there's such a gap in Scottish football between Celtic and others, such a big gap. And look, it's their job of fans to put our jerseys on and go to the games and talk about the games and look forward to the games. But there's only been a handful of games where you've been really buzzing this season. And I just think that's just down to the landscape of Scottish football. I know they talk about reconstruction of maybe 10 teams or 16 teams. All we can do is just beat what's in front of us and play what's in front of us. And it's not always been a steamroll. But I've seen I've seen the likes of Talksport and Alan Brazil and McCoy's were saying, "Oh well, look, would you like a stronger Rangers?" At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's a stronger Rangers or the weaker Rangers. It's what we do against this opposition, and if they can't get near us, it's not our fault. It's not our fault. I know some fans say, "Oh, Celtic should be pushing for a British league or should be pushing for a North Atlantic league and stuff like that." But when they're getting, a good chance of Champions League football, and we have focused a lot on the Champions League this campaign with the extra 2 games, the extra basically 10 games we played this campaign with the playoffs. That has been a sole focus. And I know the bread and butter is the league. It always will be the league, folks. The league, the Scottish Cup and the League Cup. But it's just this, the levels of being excitement around Celtic and league games this season. It's very hard. And that's not disrespecting the team. That's not disrespecting the manager. It's like, I don't know if we're being selfish or being greedy or being spoiled when I say this. I just feel like, it's majority of the time it's going to happen. And I just feel like maybe the league does need a big of a reconstruction, But I wanted the same. Don't want Barry. Look, they're not gonna get Jose. Jose, like the Mourinho walks on money, and I don't think that takeoff is going to happen at this rate. That's the thing. And that's the truth. I'll say it as it is. Like, but I was going to Blackpool the weekend, and last weekend, and I'm sitting there listening to a couple of podcasts and listening to Hamish. Very good, fair dues to Hamish, and what he said was right. It was completely right. I know he's over in Australia and he's watching watching the games, and he's doing his podcast. He does a terrific job. But I'm kind of I'm in the same situation. Like, it feels predictable. And I know it wasn't always like that. There was times in the 90s where fans had to endure the misery of seeing Rangers winning titles and, finishing 4th in the league or 5th in the league, and, awful seasons and managerial changes. Money wasn't there. Club was in turmoil at a time. And I know now we're in a phenomenal place where Martin O'Neill set the foundations down from the millennium onwards, where he brought treble in, got treble the 4th season. Then Strachan took over from him in 2005. There was doubles won, then there was 3 in a row, and then it was Tony Mowbray, which was a disaster of a half of a season. And you move on to Neil Lennon, he was an interim coach, then got the managerial job, and then you won the Scottish Cup in his 4th proper season as a manager against Motherwell. And you go on, then Rangers got buried, and they, Hector the Taxman came in, and then Celtic focused on what we could play against in the league. And then Lenny stayed for a season, then he ended up leaving. Then it was on Ronnie. Ronnie was unfortunate, like the treble in his 2nd season, even his 4th season, Call Inverness. But it's been such a phenomenal, what could you say? since the millennium, we've only lost the league, what, 4 times? If I'm correct what I'm saying, 4 or 5 times. It's been unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. And it just, I'm not trying to sound like I've lost the hunger for Celtic. It's just very hard to keep yourself motivated when you know that we're gonna be over the line, we're gonna win the league, and it's just there's such a big gap there. I would just like to see a little bit more competition. A little bit more competition, a little bit of, like, fair play to Hibs. Hibs went 15 games unbeaten, I think it was, in the league, and we were the only team to beat them, like, in that kind of from that spell onwards. But I just feel like even with the whole situation with the away stands of, you know, they boast about most population per capita to attendances in Scottish football, but look at it. You look at Tannadice yesterday, their main stand on the telly, half emptied. This is a team that finished in the top six going into post split, and Jim Goodwin's done a phenomenal job with Dundee. Promote a team, and they've done really well. And it just shows what is going on. Yet the prices of the tickets yesterday for Celtic fans is daylight robbery. £40 they charged. And we'll talk about the tangerines, we'll talk about the footballs, we'll talk about that bits and bobs. But do I think Brendan will stay? Yes, I will. I think he will stay. I don't think he will extend his contract. I know he's pretty happy. And I'm looking at his perspective as, right, he wins a treble with Celtic. He has a good whack of the Champions League next season, gets a few big results, and goes on and wins the league again. What else is there for Brendan Rodgers? What else is there when you're of a landscape and you're playing against the same things 4 times a season? What is there? And I know he gives a lot of the opposition respect and all that, gives the managers respect for playing against, but I just feel like, what is there? What's the next step for Brendan Rodgers? Let me know in the comments, folks. Money buys success. Money buys quality. And if he doesn't get that quality, got in the summer, but like, look, we brought Jota in. Will Greg Taylor stay? I thought Greg Taylor was phenomenal yesterday. I thought he was phenomenal last week. I think Greg Taylor's turned a big corner. And look, I've never doubted Greg Taylor as a player. In certain attributes, I have doubted him, regards to him not getting up in the air, being more physical in the Champions League. That's his weaknesses. And I think with Tierney coming in, if Tierney keeps himself fit, I think Tierney will be the Champions League starter. But look, if Greg stays and there's been talks of a new contract being offered, let him go. Look, I let him stay. If Jeffrey goes, I wish Jeffrey the best. And Jeffrey was only it's a hard one to pick, because some people are keen on Jeffrey Chulup. Like, I think he's physically better than Greg Taylor. He reads the game better than Taylor, but Taylor he plays a different type of style than majority of footballers these days. He has that kind of, it's like he's holding as a defensive midfielder at times. He gets them yards. I thought Taylor was just brilliant yesterday. You could just see the hunger that, and from the end of January up to the start of August, or start of April, he was one of them players like Keane that kind of, dropped tools and wasn't as hungry, and he's been outstanding. So give him the praise where it's deserved. But yeah, cryptic messages, and partly giving the impression that he's staying. Well, if he stays, he has competition, and Jackie McNamara made a great point yesterday. Like, is he happy that Tierney's coming back? No, it's going to be hard competition, because he came in to replace Tierney in 2019, and look, he's played over 250 games for Celtic, and he's on the verge of doing his third treble with Celtic as well. So we'll see what happens with Taylor. But we definitely feel like we do need to strengthen massively. I know we're being linked with Matisse Kvistergarden yet again for like the fifth window in a row, but we'll see what happens, But I don't. As I said, I just want you to think what I'm saying here. Is it hard? Is there something different this season than it has been the last few years? Is it just a case that we know that we're being too confident that we're going to win this league because the gap is there? You get it wrong. Rangers have beaten us twice in the new year, and we were absolutely brutal again at Ibrox, and then at Celtic Park, the way we you know we just expected to go out and win that game. And I think that's a big factor down to us as fans as well. We expect to go out and win this game because what we've achieved over the last decade, we don't really have many bad days. We don't really have many bad days. And when we do have bad days, I always say this, you pick yourself up and get stronger. And, the comeback is better than sometimes than just the straight road. The comeback tastes better. So I don't think Brendan will go in the summer. If I know Liverpool hammered Spurs today and Ange is holding off for Europa League success. Do I think, will we see Daniel Levy make a move for Brendan Rodgers in the summer? I don't think he'll go to Spurs. I don't think he'll go to Leeds. I think he'll stay for another season. I just don't. I did think his legacy as Celtic, as he tarnished his first time around, I think he wants to prove to himself that he's came and done a job and he brought as much success as he can. And look at 10 honours as a Celtic manager as well. And yeah, there's been times where the football hasn't been comprehensive. And, I don't know. I just feel like, do I come across spoiled? Let me know in the comments. Are we spoiled fans? Because we have the phenomenal squad there. We have the money there. Let me know in the comments. It's a hard one to point out, to be honest. Like, as I said, I listened to Hamish the other day on the train down to Blackpool, and what he's saying is completely on the button. It's very hard to motivate yourself. Derby games, Champions League games is a different level. But the rest of it, you're just like, right, we're 3-0 up. Yeah, this is great. But like, we'll get to 90 minutes and it's a victory. What is missing? What's missing, folks? What's missing? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. I don't know. I just think there's something there. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist in any ways, but I just feel like, was it just down to a few of the players dropping tools for a month and a half? Let me know. We have, in my eyes, the league is confirmed champions, but there's a lot of work to be done. And there's personal achievements and personal goals for these players to hit, milestones to hit. And let's get Daisy Maeda up to 41 goals or 40 goals if we can. Maeda deserves it. What a guy. And he's happy in Glasgow, and he had a bit of banter with, picking up the orange and taking a bit of it yesterday. Am I worried that Maeda will leave in the summer? Not a chance. But football's a strange place. And if the right money comes in from Maeda, you never know. Spurs come, he's off. I don't think he will go, to be honest with you. I don't think Brendan will go. Spurs are a difficult club. I think Spurs think they're bigger than they are. And that's down to the stadium. That's down to them getting to a Champions League final under Pochettino. Down to changing managers like a wet weekend, going from Mourinho, was it Conte, Mourinho, Pochettino, like some cracking managers. I know Mourinho's linked with Rangers. I don't think he will go there. And then, you know what? I read an article the other day, and I'm going to do a video on this over the next couple of weeks. And I don't want that happening anytime soon, to be honest with you. But my tip for the next Celtic manager, if Brendan Rodgers was to leave, would be Damien Duff. I think, Damien knows the club. He worked alongside Neil Lennon, and I enjoyed having Duffer at the club, and he's done a good job at Shelbourne. They won the league last season, and don't get me wrong, the League of Ireland is not Scottish football standards, but it's on the up. And I would love, if it came down to the line, if we were looking at a new manager, I would probably say, Damien Duff, why not? Damien Duff, I tip him to be the next Celtic manager. I think he's a long way to go, but I think him having the crack with Europa Shells will give him experience. because there's no point saying we want this manager, we want that manager. If it was touch wood, it doesn't happen that Brendan leaves in the summer, because I'm quite confident after hearing it from his mouth yesterday. I know some people are not buying into the whole Brendan Rodgers, he's here for 5 in a row, and I know a lot he's not buying into it just yet. But the famous quote, actions speak louder than words. So we'll see what happens. Tell us where you're tuning in from. Just reading the comments here. I know I haven't been doing much podcast, not much videos, but when things settle down a little bit on my side, I'm looking forward to getting back and doing it on a regular basis. So yeah. I just want to give a shout out as well to the Blackpool Catholic Club. So I was down in Blackpool for a couple of days with my missus, and I obviously done a post up on my social media, where's the best place to watch the Celtic game, and people said the Blackpool Catholic Club. So I rang them yesterday. I was in Wetherspoons, had a bit of brekkie, rang them at 11:30, and I got through to this Glaswegian man. And I said, look, what time he's open? He's open at 12, or he's open at 11:30. He said, we're open now. You're more welcome to come around. So I walked into the place, gave a donation, and I felt like, it was at home. I have to say, I've been to a couple of CSCs in different parts of Ireland, Scotland, and England, and even over in Spain and stuff, Irish pubs and stuff, but I felt real welcome. I felt like I was in Glasgow yesterday. Just there was Scottish around us, and everybody was really nice. The Guinness was lovely. The crack was phenomenal. The tunes were on before it. I just felt like I was at home, and I felt good. I felt good. I just, you look around and you see all different generations. You see, people that are in their 70s and their 80s sitting there with their grandchildren and their great grandchildren, and they're wearing the Celtic stuff, and there's a tear in their eye when Celtics are clinching the league. They're standing up and they're clapping, and yes, they've seen so much over their lifetime, of some seeing Celtic winning the European Cup in '67. Some have seen the dark days of the 90s. Some have seen Tom Roggage's historic treble winner against Aberdeen. It's just so much happiness yesterday. And a shout out to the guys down in the Blackpool Catholic Club. Really good place to watch a Celtic game. So if you're ever down Blackpool for the game, I'd recommend the place. Really enjoyed it. I think his name was Jerry. That was behind the bar, if I'm correct. Jerry or John. I just think it's a wild guess. But really nice guy. Nice pint of Guinness. Really nice. I know you're probably just like, oh, he's boring the ears out of me. But yeah, the weird thing was down Blackpool, didn't see one Rangers fan. Not one. I was expecting to see a few, but there wasn't one. I was walking down the Coral Island, and this guy walked across the street. He's in his late 50s, wearing a Celtic top. I didn't wink to him. I didn't say anything to him. Just leave him be. Yesterday morning, we were in and around the same place, and there was these 3 women, probably in their 60s. One had a crucifix on and a Celtic jersey on, and that just, seeing that kind of stuff start your day with a bit of confidence, we're all buzzing for it. So yeah. So regards to that buzzing feeling, I think we all felt it yesterday because we knew what was at stake. We just needed a point going in, and we made sure about we cleaned the slate. And Dundee, you just play what you're against. And let's be honest, we went to Tannadice earlier on the season, and we only scraped a point. So it's been an up and down. I would say, if you want to rate this season out of 10 domestically, like as in the league wise, I would say probably a 7 out of 10, pushing 7 out of 10. I think just being, I just think this up and down, the inconsistency of some players feeling like they've checked out and they're in Santa Ponza like 4 weeks ago. That kind of mentality. I know Rodgers had a chat with them after St. Johnstone, and Callum McGregor called out as well. There was just something there. Even with CCV, there was something there, and I know he's got an absolute crack against Kilmarnock a couple of weeks back. The likes of Ingles settling in as well. Thought he's played all right. players like that, Adam very on and off, Kyogo leaving. This is not excuses. This is just as it is what happened as a whole. Players, we've seen Johnson playing really good in the first half of the season. Kuhn was on fire. We've seen sparks of Kuhn, and look, you never know if Nicholas Kuhn gets back to that level, which he scored 2 goals yesterday. If he bangs in goals going into the rest of the campaign, and Scottish Cup final, scores a couple of goals there against the Dons, there has to be a question asked, and will he ever be called up for Nagelsmann's Germany squad? Shall see. But EPL, overrated. Pish is very overrated. Don't get me wrong, I watched the Liverpool game earlier on. Obviously, congratulations to Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson winning the league with Liverpool. But I just look at that, right? And I know I mean so much Liverpool fans, and they're out there winning the league in front of their fans for the first time in 35 years in front of their fans. But I just feel like it's more special to us than Liverpool. I just feel like Celtic's more of a family club. And no disrespect to Liverpool, because I was once a big Liverpool fan as a kid, and I don't have that love for Liverpool the way they used to. I just look at that and I just feel like it's just so much commercial tourism marketing tool to Liverpool Football Club, because it's a massive club. Like, I done the stadium tour in October with my missus. We went down to Liverpool just for a few days. I wanted to do Goodison. I should have done Goodison. I kind of regret not doing it, to be honest. And look, at Goodison's the Catholic club of Liverpool. So you just feel it. You just feel that marketing vibe in Anfield. Celtic Park, you don't get that marketing vibe. You just get that real family feel. You get through them doors. You're doing that stadium tour. They're asking you where you're from. And the tour guide, regardless which tour guide it is, they always have a little random story. They always talk about, if someone's from Germany and someone says they support Eintracht Frankfurt, they'll turn around and they'll mention times that Celtic may played their rivals, or when we played over in Germany. That kind of feel to it. With Anfield, you're just a number in that stadium. You feel like you're just a number paying over the price. And everyone has to love for their clubs. And, I think they'll be celebrating Liverpool tonight, winning that 20th title. But it's about us. It's about us doing the treble. And it's not certainly guaranteed, because let's be honest, Aberdeen are out for revenge. We scalped Aberdeen in the semi-finals of the League Cup, and they will have that in the back of their mind. They will have that feeling. They will have that hunger there. So, is it going to be stressful as 2016? Fucking sure right it's going to be. Even though we had an invincible label to our name at that time. But I think this is going to be as big as 2016. Because a lot of you are saying in the comments, Brendan will jump if he gets offered. I think you need to stop doubting. I think, look, if Brendan was to leave tomorrow, I'd say, right, you're right. You're right there. You're this and that. But let's just stop thinking the negative thing. Let's think of the positive. We have a manager that loves the club. Yes, the fashion he left in the first time around wasn't nice. We were all angry. We were a bit pissed off for months. There was all sorts of labels getting thrown at Brendan Rodgers' name as a Celtic manager. Some of the stuff was horrible. Even at times I held some animosity towards Brendan. Even when I seen times of Leicester getting pumped, I was laughing. Times where when he won the FA Cup, I was happy for him. At the same time, I was like, you know what, you should have stayed at Celtic. And he had a good time. He had a good time at Leicester, and then he obviously got relegated. But look, it was a story. It's his career. At the end of the day, he's in a contract, and if he fulfills his contract and leaves at the end of next season, you can't hold that against him. You move on. I'm great. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for what we've done. And are we still partying? Oh, mate, I've been hungover. I was on it early enough yesterday, and got home late last night. Well, it wasn't late. Sleeping all by 10 o'clock because I was travelling from Blackpool up. And about 15 drinks in me altogether. From pints of Guinness to Smirnoff Colas to cans of Brew Dog on the train. Oof, I was a rough man, but I was a bit, you know what? I was a little bit sad that I didn't get to go to Celtic Park when I got off the train yesterday and, celebrate them coming back from Dundee. And it is what it is. Other things get in the way, and to have that moment, to have that experience of being in a different part of the world. Well, it's only down the road, it's only in Blackpool. Seeing Celtic fans down there and seeing the way they were so happy when we won the league, it's something that I'll never forget. You know, you don't take leagues for granted. You don't take title victories for granted. Never take it, even though it might be second to none to our younger generation of fans. Enjoy it, because you don't know what could happen tomorrow. Now, obviously, the club will be around tomorrow, but not like other clubs. But enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Put the arm around your friend. Say, this is what it's all about. Days like this. Days like this where we buy a bottle of Moet and spray the place. We're drinking champagne. They're drinking toilet water. That's it. That's the way life is. It's just, as I always say, being, as you know as much as me, supporting this club is it's a special honor, and don't take it for granted. Even your bad days, you enjoy them all. So let's go through the comments. Get the comments in. Sorry for all the waffling. The only team that matters is Glasgow Celtic. F England and their league. Exactly. Would I be against joining English football? No. If the money was right. This is the problem, is they don't want us down in English football because they know for a fact, as a marketing tool, we would sweep that market. We'd absolutely sweep that market. It wouldn't be just a straight, we're into the Premier League. It would be probably League One or League Two, and the club would feel a pinch if they were to go down that road. But let's be honest, I think a lot of Scottish Celtic fans and even Irish Celtic fans and Celtic fans worldwide, they don't want to move to English football. They want to stay where they are. And I think a lot of fans need to understand, get this into their heads. You won't get a North Atlantic League, or you won't get that kind of thing. That won't happen. UEFA won't let it happen. So I know they're looking at reconstruction of the Champions League in 27. They're talking about maybe looking at weekend Champions League, and if Celtic go on the route, if the SPFL go on the route of cutting the games down to 36, it opens up more, break for players to recover and all, because it is becoming a 10-month job for footballers, and they get paid enough money, but strength and conditioning, it's not just the physical side of a professional footballer that you have to take into consideration. It's the mental side. Looks like Alistair, traveling back and forth to Canada to represent his country. The likes of Cameron, the likes of Yang, these guys, the likes of the Japanese boys as well. These boys are traveling over to represent their countries, to get their countries into World Cups and Asian Cups and Gold Cups. And I think a big factor of Callum McGregor playing good this season is down to him returning from the Scotland team. People don't talk about that a lot. And I think it helped Callum McGregor, his game, getting his goals, his drive. We've seen his absence in the last Glasgow derby stood out. I thought we were very weak that day, and hopefully we'll have him next week. You need the skipper to go out there. And next week is not just a simple title celebration. We go to war next week. We go to war against a team that they're going to play like it's their cup final, because they have nothing to play for. They'll be dying to try to spoil the party. So we go to war next week. We don't take Rangers for granted again. Don't think of them as second best. You need to be going out there and feel revenge. Put them in their place. Put them in their box. That's what you want to do. Stop giving Tavernier ball. Stop giving Sterling ball. Stop giving Butland a bit of time, or Kelly on time the ball. Pressing them like Maeda does. get the magic out Kuhn. And let's talk about players. Let's talk about James Forrest. James Forrest, our most decorated player in our history. I'm just going to look at stats here. 522 games for Celtic, 109 goals and 109 assists as well. 26 trophies. My God, what a player. What a player. And James, you know, a good friend of his actually got me a personal message from James, from my missus. What a guy, what a guy. Wishing her happy birthday and enjoy Blackpool, and we did. I was sitting there yesterday and James came on and I was like to her, I'm like, you know what, sweetheart, there's your boy, there's your hero. It goes, there he is coming on. He's making history today. He's going a past Bobby Lennox for honours for Celtic. 26th, the most decorated footballer in Celtic's history. Ahead of Billy McNeil, ahead of Scott Brown, ahead of obviously Callum, ahead of players like that. Jamesy, an unsung hero, an absolute unsung hero. And yeah, he has another year left in his contract at Celtic, but he's that commitment, that drive. When times he got injured and he was very inconsistent, to be a part of this team since his debut against Motherwell and scoring that day, that chip, to now clinching the title at Tanner's. He's seen it all. He's seen it all. He leads as an example. He's a role model for them young players coming through them ranks. Him, Callum, Ralston, even Welch. Welch is on loan. There's just to have that. This is, if you want to, you're not, cause you're a promising player coming through the youth system, doesn't mean you're giving your chance at Celtic. You have to work on everything. You got to work on your personal life. Because look at the players coming through these days in football. They're too busy focusing on Instagram, putting stories up, putting that and putting this up. For example, Lewis Palmer. Lewis Palmer looked like he had a bit of talent there. And his form dipped last season after Christmas, and he got the move to Olympiacos when Jota came in January. And it looks like he's going to be returned to Celtic because he hasn't impressed over in Greek football. And Olympiacos is a massive club, folks. A massive, massive club. There's no comments coming in, by the way. You're probably just listening to me just blabbing on. How's it going, Paul? But get the comments in. Don't be... I can talk and waffle on as much as you can. But Lewis Palmer, could he come back and prove people wrong like myself? I would love to see if he proves us wrong. Because there is quality there with Lewis Palmer when he has his head screwed on. You've seen the potential of scoring in European games, scoring absolute crackers against Aberdeen. Some really nice goals against Ross County as well, away in Dingwall. But I don't know about Palmer. I just feel like he took the club for granted after a certain stage. And I just feel like this is the typical nowadays footballer. They have social media. They think they're bigger on social media than they are on the pitch. This is the problem with them. And if Palmer comes back and makes a statement, happy days. He's going to have competition with Jota anyway in that wing. But so yeah. So how are we feeling? Are we all feeling happy? Are we all feeling good? Are we feeling really confident about next Sunday? Are we taking it with a pinch of salt? Are we taking a step back and being cautious? Because as I said, I'll be taking next Sunday very, very cautious. Because this is their cup final. This is their title spoiler, even though the title's complete. They will be feeling that fire in the belly. Their fans will be feeling it. They'll be feeling that 55 is round their heads. Let's be honest. 55 titles. What 55 titles? You can't win 55 titles in a space of 12 or 13. But yeah, I didn't see the highlights of the St. Mirren and the Rangers game yesterday. To be honest with you, care less. Absolutely care less. Before I came on, I watched the highlights of our game for the second time. For the second time today. I never get told. Clinching the league at Tannadice in 2008 was phenomenal. Yesterday was good, but it's never as good as 2008. 2008 was one of the most emotional nights I've ever watched Celtic. I wasn't there, but you could feel it. You could feel it watching that on that telly. You could feel it because you knew that Aberdeen were playing Rangers at Pittodrie, and you knew we knew the stakes that night. We needed to do it for Tommy, and then players that came through that youth system like Darren O'Dea, Aidan McGeady, John Kennedy, McManus, they knew they were playing for Tommy. And most of all, Gordon wanted to do it for his best friend that sadly passed away. You knew it. You could feel it in the stands. You could feel it. Where all the fans were singing Tommy Burns. And that was one of the most emotional nights I've ever watched Celtic. You know, we've watched the nights of Barcelona, watched the nights of, Derby nights when Jan scored the last minute against them that season. And Nakamura scored. But that night would be in my top three favourite ever games I watched at Celtic. You could just see how much it meant to the players, especially the McGeady. Now, even though I didn't like McGeady's comments this season about mental health and stuff, and Jota, when Jota came back and scored against Motherwell, didn't like them comments from Aidan McGeady. Let's be honest, like Aidan done well at Celtic, but I just think there was a little bit of jealousy from him there about Jota because Jota is adored by the fans. Could be wrong, but yeah, that. So let me know in the comments if 2008 Tannadice. How did you feel about that night? Does that really hit the home heart? That was just. It wasn't pressure. It was just we knew we had to go up there. And Paul Hartley swung that ball into Jan Vinegar Hesselink. And did you know who was actually in goal? Saluska. And the Widow Flood was playing against us that day as well. Yeah. Mark Wilson used to play for Dundee. He was actually, obviously, he's playing for us then. But, yeah, Mark Wilson, he was a good little grafter he was as a footballer for Celtic. I liked Mark Wilson. Thought he done well. That squad we had. On this day, 2008, I went to one of the best games I've ever watched. That was against Celtic and Rangers, an actual Old Firm derby. When it was called the Old Firm, 3-2. Scott McDonald opened the scoring early enough. Then he scored the second goal, and then I think Kuzan scored for them. Then I think it was Weir or something like that. And then Barry Robson. McDonald got taken down. Barry Robson converted the penalty right down the middle. And his celebration was just phenomenal. The passion. Barry Robson. He was a grafter for Celtic. I loved Robson. I loved Hartley. I thought the two of the boys were decent in the midfield with Brown. Evander Snow we had as well. Tommy Gravison as well around that time. Yeah. Really good squad. They were Massimo Donati as well. Forgot about Massimo. But that was a special season. Very special season. We obviously beat AC Milan that season as well. At home, that's when they were European champions because we played them the season before in the knockout stages of the Champions League. First ever Celtic game I ever went to. Special feeling. But obviously McManus scored that night. The 2-1 game when Dida went down like a ton of eggs. And then Scotty McDonald scored the winner. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Special night as well, but the Tannadice victory is up there in the top three, but without doubt. Barcelona's number one, obviously. But everyone has different opinions. Everyone has definitely different opinions, and you're all welcome to give the opinions on the channel tonight. Should we be going out in the summer and investing highly in a striker? No, I mean going past the 10 million. Let me know in the comments. Big time. So we'll see what happens. So yeah. So plan is, folks. Plan is probably to get on Wednesday night and have a chat with us if I get time. That's the plan. If I can get on Wednesday night, have a chat with us, because obviously a lot of people have probably just hung over and not arsed. I said I don't really announce when I'm coming on anymore. I just pop on. Just pop on when I'm in the mood. Look, everyone's in the mood to talk about Celtic, but you have so much stuff going on, you're just like, ugh. But yeah, let me know in the comments. Stay on for another 2 or 3 minutes. But no Guard of Honor next week. I think we've got like 2,200 fans for Ibrox as well. So yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to seeing Tierney back at Celtic. I put a post later on saying he didn't win the league with Arsenal, and then I forgot that obviously Arsenal in the semi-finals of the Champions League, and people were like, oh, he still has a chance to win the Champions League. He does have a chance, but he's got like. My question to you is, and a lot of people were saying no. Does Tierney get that vice captain role when he comes back into the club? Is it Johnston, CCV, Casper as that vice captain? Let me know in the comments. Because Tierney, let's be honest, Tierney knows the club inside out. I know he doesn't know the squad. You know some of the squad because he plays with them in the national team. But it'd be an interesting one. Like, it's not for me to say. It's not for us to say. It's for Brendan to say. You know, he's bringing Tierney back for a reason. You know, and he's younger than Callum. You know, I always said this, and I mean this when I say this. If Tierney never left for Arsenal, he would have been the captain of Celtic, ahead of McGregor. You know, he's born to be a captain. He was. We seen him when he captained the side against Kilmarnock, and he scored that absolute pelter that night. The midweek game in the League Cup. I can't wait for him to come back. But we need to get the left back situation sorted. If we're keeping Gregg or if it's Jeffrey, we really need to sort that out. Still feel like we need another right back as well. I like Ralston, but I think we need to, Alistair is just class. His delivery for Ida yesterday as well. Alistair is a good player. He's a really good player. I know he signed a new deal recently and stuff like that, but he is a valuable player. And I think Alistair Johnston, he's a 25 million player. Easily. I mean, we don't want to be looking at selling our players, but I think there will be a player that will leave this summer for the 25 million. There always is. There's always is with Celtic. As I said this before on the podcasts. Mark me words, look at O'Reilly. Last season, look at Jota the season before, there will be someone, hopefully there won't be, but there probably will be. The club are like, if there's money to be done there, it will be. But so that's really it from me tonight, folks. Thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate it. I know I keep saying this and I keep repeating myself when I say this. I'm hoping I will get back on more frequent soon. Just a busy week ahead, and then hopefully I'll get back. So it's not like I've lost the fire, not at all. I've just been busy, and certain games I find it very hard to motivate myself to be hyped up about it. And I don't know if that's just down to a spoiled mentality of me, or is it just down to the caliber while we're playing against, the so-called quality while we're playing against. I really don't know. It's very hard to say. Champions League nights we're sitting there the night before, we're buzzing, we're thinking it's Christmas. Derby days, we get excited. At cup finals, we get excited. But it's like Celtic versus Ross County. Of course, I'm going to watch the game. When we score, I'm like, yes. But it's not the same. It's not the same celebration as in beating Rangers or beating Red Bull or, Bayern Munich. It just I don't know. Is it just a spoiled mentality? Let me know. Let me know in the comments, folks, because as I said, I'm not throwing digs at Ross County or St. Mirren or anything like that. It's just, I don't know what it is. It's like we're expected to do it. So let me know in the comments. I'm going to go anyways. Good speaking to you all on. Remember, 55, 121's coming soon. 122, sorry, is coming soon. 121's complete. And yeah, hell. Have a good night. Champions.